Hi, this is Chad Landers from Push Private Fitness in Los Angeles, California. We're here on the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast with Chris and Eric Martinez. Enjoy.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode on the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. We have the one and only Chad Landers with us. Chad, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well, and we're really excited about this one because we're actually in your gym,
True.
Push Private Fitness.
It's been a long time coming. We've been wanting to get together for a long time, so it's nice to finally make it work out.
Exactly. I think it's been like 5 years about since we've been here. I think we first came out here when we moved out to LA. It's been a while. But place looking clean, I mean, good equipment. Always really liked your place.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
And it's good too because Chris and I normally have our interviews at in downtown LA in an office setting. So This is much more visually appealing, just more relaxing, kind of more of our setting, just in the gym setting.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
We'll probably get a couple sessions in between the podcasts.
Oh yeah, get a little pump going. I should have got pumped first, so I'm better on camera.
So I gotta ask, Chad. Christmas is right around the corner. Have you done all your Christmas shopping?
I've done absolutely none, actually. So I
have to get on I gotta give you a fist bump because I haven't done that either. I'm a huge procrastinator on that. I don't want to go to any stores. I mean, it's just brutal.
I thought I'd go into a mall. I used to love that, when that was all there was.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, the whole Christmas thing now, it's like, I can just go online, click.
Yeah.
Don't have to fight for parking or crowds or anything, so yeah.
Exactly.
But I haven't done that either because it's so easy to, get it the next day.
Yeah, Amazon.
So yeah, you just keep waiting and waiting.
Exactly. So can you tell us like a funny story that's happened to you in 2018?
Funny story in 2018. Oh, let me think about that. Oh, God, I'm sure there is something funny. I mean, something fairly recent. It wasn't really funny, but it was pretty cool. I just turned 50, and I'm pretty savvy with stuff that's going on, so I never thought in a million years my wife would ever pull off a surprise party for me. But because she was very clever, my birthday, like I said, wasn't until the 28th, so she had a surprise party for me on the 11th of November. And I had clients involved in this with her. I mean, it was a big production, a lot of lies she told me along the way that I was just oblivious to. And so basically, I don't know how familiar you are with the area, but there's a Laurel Canyon. There's a Houdini estate, which for years was all dilapidated and, druggies probably hung out there and stuff like that. But several years ago, they renovated it and kind of brought it back to its glory. And now they rent it out for parties and things like that. And so I had thought that we were going to a restaurant further down Laurel Canyon, like a minute from the Houdini estate, to meet two of my clients, actually. And as we're going there, she's like, oh, turn into Houdini's place here real quick. I'm like, what? This is, weird. But sure enough, she basically had pulled off this humongous surprise party. And I was so naive to it. It's a humongous place, and it's got 3 different levels to it. And when we got there, everybody was down at the very bottom level. And there was some other setup in the center where the actual dinner ended up being, but I thought that was somebody else's event. I thought my thing was just what was down there at the bottom. And I was thrilled. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then all of a sudden everybody's done with cocktails. Like, oh, go up to the next level for dinner. And then we went up to another level by the pool for coffee and desserts. It was a huge blowout. Definitely something anybody would love to have for a 50th. So I'm pretty shocked that she was able to pull it off and have so many of my clients and friends involved. Awesome. And me not to see a text, because my clients were texting her. I would have instantly been weird, one of my clients, why are they texting you? Or if anybody in here slipped and said, oh, see you tonight, or it said happy birthday 2 weeks early or something. So nobody slipped and she pulled that off. So that felt pretty good. So it's the first time in my life I think I've ever had a big, huge surprise party like that. So probably won't get another one for another 50 years. So hopefully I'll make it to 100 and we'll find out.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, that's awesome. So, man, I've always been intrigued, just kind of your story and just kind of the will and kind of the guts you've had to come out here to LA, this big city, be a personal trainer where, it's quote unquote saturated, just like everything else is, right? And to actually open up your own brick and mortar, right? And you're from Illinois, and I think we were just talking earlier, you said that Push Private Fitness is going on its 15th year? Is that
It'll be 16 years.
16 years. See, that's amazing to have a brick and mortar gym here in LA for 16 years. So
it's pretty great.
Yeah. So take me back, man. Like when you were 16 years ago, where you had this big dream coming from Illinois, coming to this scary, LA city with all the hopes and dreams and everything that everybody has. What was that big like why and purpose to have to come out to LA?
Actually, I came to LA 10 years before that, so I'd already been out here for a decade really before I opened up my place. So I originally left Illinois in '92 and I moved to Vegas. I stayed there for about 10 months, and while I was there, I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I just knew that, well, I've been in Illinois, I've been managing a health club since before I'd even graduated college, and I wasn't making that much money, and I knew I was pretty tapped out. I don't know what I'm going to do in this market, and the only place I had to go was either back home where I'm from, which is rural Illinois, which was nothing that I could do there with my skill set, or I could go to Vegas because I had family that lived there and had a free place to stay there. So I'm like, well, I'm going to Vegas and I'll give this a try. And while I was there, I ended up working at the spa at Bally's Casino, and I was just personable, I guess, and talked to people, and I got job offers from all over the country for all kinds of like weird stuff, from being a like insurance investigator where I get like my own van with like hidden camera and catch people scamming insurance companies or whatever. But one of the ones that I had two that I thought about taking. One was two couples were going to open up a gym, or wanted to, up in Northern California. I forget what town it was, and I really thought about doing that because they didn't know anything about how to run a gym. They just had this kind of dream, and I met with them while they were in Vegas, and that looked like that was probably going to be a go. And then I had met another guy who was down here in LA who was getting ready to open up a studio like this, and he needed trainers to work for him out of that. And it just so happens that he called me first. And so I came down, and apparently they did call Vegas, the Northern California people, a few months later. They're like, sorry, he already took a job down in LA. So who knows, if it had been reversed, I could be in Northern California, some old timer at a gym in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. But I decided I did like LA. I visited once before I took the job, and I came down here and I worked at other studio for a couple years, and then I decided to go out on my own. At that time it was pretty easy at commercial gyms. As a matter of fact, the Gold's gym that I worked out of for several years, when I first took my clients over there, they didn't even charge a rental fee. As long as the clients bought memberships, they were through. So that was easy. And then all of a sudden they started charging little nominal rent, but they started doing that. And over the course of being there for about 8 years, I thought about opening up a place and looked. And finally, my wife and I, we'd gotten married, we moved to this neighborhood, and this location we're in now used to be kind of a small mom and pop commercial gym that had 4 storefronts. When I came and looked at it, one of those storefronts had already been taken, but I still had these center 2 that had the locker room built out already. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, this is great. And I could have had the third one, but I decided I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew. I just wanted to take this, because at first I was the only trainer. So I was going from a very low overhead with my clients at Goals to thinking, okay, I got to make this happen and make it happen quick here, or I'm going to be in big trouble, you know? Right. So luckily I gave myself, basically, when I negotiated the lease here, instead of a 5-year, I went 5.5. So that first 6 months I just had to pay the common area maintenance costs, which at that time were under $1,000 a month, where the real rent didn't kick in until 6 months later. So I said, okay, other than that money, we personally invested in it at the beginning, I need to have this place functioning by the time that real rent kicks in, because I don't want to have to take a single dollar from our personal income after that initial outlay. Right. And luckily, I made it happen. I don't really know how, but I did. And then luckily I didn't take that third spot, because I had grown things quite a bit, but then when the economy hit the skids in 2008, 2009, and the housing market blew up and all that stuff, my business retracted about 30%, but I was able to withstand that blow. Right. Where had I been starting out, if that had been the first year I was open, I probably would have been sunk. Yeah. It probably just would have been over. But I had grown things and had more trainers and all that kind of stuff. So now obviously I've grown it more since then, and things are good now. It's been 16 years. It's kind of insane. But yeah, it is basically, got lucky, I think. A lot of it was luck. A lot of it was timing. You know, this place happened to be open and available because they closed shortly after 9/11, I believe. So it had been vacant here for almost a year when I called on it to see about the space, and because it had already had the proper permits with the city of LA, that made it much easier to come in. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I haven't changed locations, because it's so difficult. I'd love to have my own standalone building and not be in a strip center and have a bigger place and all that, but it's insanely difficult in LA, and the parking requirements and other stuff like that. So for me, it just became more the devil you know, so at least I know what I have to cover each month here, and I'm established here. It's a great neighborhood, Toluca Lake, Studio City, you know, kind of sandwiched in between Universal Studios and Warner Brothers. So it's been nice being here. So there was really no need to move, although obviously I would much rather own my own building and have all the money I've been paying to rent for 16 years going towards owning the building. But that just didn't work out that way. So, you know, at least I still know what the heck I'm doing, you know, as a renter. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you feel like kind of that timing and like you said, that luck of just like having this place kind of sandwiched in between Studio City, Warner Brothers, Universal Studios kind of led you to that positioning of being able to take on celebrity type clients?
I think it was definitely fortunate because a lot of them live around here.
Yeah.
You know, Toluca Lake and Studio City and what's adjacent here, like Sherman Oaks and that kind of thing. You know, they live or work nearby. So that initially started strictly because of that. They saw it, they came in, and then once you get a few people, they usually will refer a friend. Maybe they're an actor too, maybe they're not, but that kind of just, you know, happened over time organically. I didn't, you know, put up a sign, hey, celebrity training here. You know, it just kind of worked out that way that I ended up getting clients, you know, like that. And then, you know, it's certainly not the bulk of my business. You know, I still have clients that I've had for 24 years, long before I ever had trained anybody famous. But it's still obviously nice to have that, and you see your work on the big screen or whatever. It's cool. I've done some cool, fun stuff because of it. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not a cool thing. It is, but whether I had a celebrity client or not, I would still be doing exactly what I'm doing right now.
Gotcha. And with any business that that you open, that you run, there's going to be some sort of adversity. There's going to be obstacles that you have to overcome. So what was the biggest hurdle that you had to overcome to really push through it and just be like, okay, this is what I want to do, and not throw in the towel?
Right. Well, I would say one of the biggest hurdles over the years has been with staffing. I've had 2 trainers in the past that ended up going to prison.
Wow.
They had some things from their youth follow them that I knew nothing about, and they didn't handle it, I guess, appropriately in their youth, and so it came back to bite them. And so that was kind of odd. I've had others, you know, who I was too nice and they owed me money, and I kept letting that hole get deeper. That was my fault, you know, for not stopping the bleeding earlier. So having to get rid of people, still it happens occasionally where people, they talk a good game, but they don't know what they're doing. Either they're not safe or they're not professional in some way. So that's probably the biggest challenge, because I'm all about company culture and having an environment that is conducive to both clients and trainers to be happy when they're here, and for kind of a foundational place for being happy outside of here. So I can't have that with negativity in here.
Yeah, and I've always thought, like, I mean, even our mentors have always said, nobody's ever going to care as much as you about your business and your product. And that's the frustrating part. It's like you want to sit there and build this great team, find these A players, but it's very, very difficult to find them. So is there anything going forward that you're going to just do differently, or is there any tips that you could just, even give to the listeners that if they're looking to hire, good people?
Well, I've been lucky because, the people that I have with me now, most of them have been here a decade. Some of them I've known for 2 decades. Yeah. So it's a very tight-knit group of us that I would trust with my life. Occasionally I will allow somebody new in, but they have to really have their shit together. Yeah, exactly. When they come through the door. And still you're taking a risk. You don't know until you see somebody in action and interact with clients and with other trainers and other trainers' clients to see how they're really going to be. So it's always a risk, but I just nowadays trust my spidey senses.
Okay.
And so the last time it happened, trainer was a nice person, wasn't anything like that, but they were an independent, paying me rent to come in here, but still, it's my place. And so if you're not doing stuff right, it reflects poorly on me because clients don't know.
Right.
So if you're not showing up, or either no showing or late or whatever it is, all they know is, oh, those trainers that push are crap.
Yeah.
They don't know that, oh, that's not really a push trainer, they're just paying me rent. So now I trust my spidey senses. I let very, very few people in, and ones I do are on a very short leash because I just have to, make sure that I keep everything a certain way.
Yeah, you gotta keep that culture running here.
Absolutely.
So I want to circle back to what you were talking about. Just it's really cool and gratifying, like when some of those celebrity clients are on the big screen. And I can only imagine how that is. So do you feel that just training celebrities, that there's an extra added pressure to it to really deliver those results and kind of really foster that relationship with them as like the personal trainer and then being the client, as opposed to just like a general pop client?
It's all, no matter what client you have, it's all about trust, so it could be, one of my clients that I've had for 20 years that's been through cancer and different stuff like that. It doesn't really matter so much if they're a celebrity or not. Definitely there's more pressures if there's some kind of a nude scene or a photo shoot, they're gonna be shirtless or whatever it is, because you got to deliver the goods and you got to do it without hurting them. If there's millions of dollars riding on the line, I can't just kill somebody in here to try to get the results, because if they get hurt and can't do it,
Right.
then I'm probably going to get sued, because they just missed out on a bunch of money
Yeah.
because of me. So that can be difficult, but truth be told, you don't have to go crazy on people if they do the right stuff consistently. So developing that trust and say, you know what, this is all you need to do. Do this, set it and forget it. Just be consistent about this. And once you have some success with people like that, then it's like, oh, okay. So I always kind of laugh when I see some things in the media where certain celebs, worked out this many hours a day every day and only ate this. I'm like, they didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
If they came to somebody who knew what they were doing, like me, they would have had a much easier time of it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't, sell magazines or whatever. I don't
Yeah.
know. So
That's funny. Has there ever been a time like where you're working with like a celeb and like they've like maybe wanted to come in and do some filming here like at Push, or like they've asked you to be like in the role as like the personal trainer or celebrity trainer or anything like that?
I've done not a lot of filming in here. We did some stuff when one of my clients, he did Dancing with the Stars, and so we did a little thing for extra, showing his workout, preparing for that because he was shirtless a lot on the show. So a little bit of stuff like that, but no, I haven't been like asked to be in something. I would totally do it. I mean, when I first came to LA, I actually had an agent and all that stuff like you do when you're 20-something and you have decent looking in LA. It's just part of the course. I hated the business of it. I'm glad I got out when I did. The acting part is fun, but the auditions and driving all over LA and the uncertainty of it all is not. But I think that because I had that experience with it for a few years when I first came here, that makes me even more understanding for the clients.
Yeah.
And a lot of lay people have no clue. They think every celeb, just because they're on TV, that they're just immensely wealthy and have a staff of people taking care of them constantly and limitless money, and it's not that.
No.
And especially a lot of people that may have had a lot of work before and now they don't. You have to budget it in an insane way.
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of times when my clients are working, they don't have the time to come in. But then when they're not working, they're a little bit afraid to spend the money because they don't know when they're going to be working again. So there's a lot of that kind of pressure that somebody who has a 9 to 5 and knows this exactly what they're going to make each week. No, they might not get as wealthy overall as that celebrity, but the celebrity does not necessarily have a mate. Not everybody is like Tom Cruise or somebody who's filthy wealthy. A lot of the working day-to-day people, they're paying for this stuff themselves.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like, I have had clients where the studios have paid for it, but most of the time they're paying for it themselves out of their pocket.
Yeah.
So, you take care of them just like you would in any other plant.
Exactly. I don't know if Chris and I told you, but that's one of the reasons why we actually moved out to Culver City like 2 years ago, just to pursue that a little bit more. Just, utilize this twin thing,
Sure.
these big caterpillar eyebrows, get them on the screen somehow.
Well, I remember that. Was it double mint gum or something?
No, it was a Citibank.
Citibank, that's it.
Yeah. Or like 1 second of fame on that. But yeah, that was one of the big reasons. We just wanted to test that out, and we've been doing that actively the last 2 years. And I'm with you on that. It's extremely frustrating. The whole business side of it, I'm just like, oh.
It's brutal.
Brutal.
And it seems to be, like, even with my clients who've worked a lot, it seems to be almost a race to the bottom. Now there's so many people out here that what they maybe would used to make a lot of money doing a national commercial or being on a guest star on a series or something. Now they're not making that much money. By the time the taxes and their agents and managers are paid and all that, it's a lot less money than you would think.
Yeah.
And maybe they had 1 day of work or 2 days of work. Maybe that's all they're going to have for 6
and
months.
Everything's streaming online these days, to where it's like nobody needs cable anymore and stuff. So
it's a difficult business.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So enough of that acting stuff, because I know Chris wants to talk more about that stuff. I'm just kidding. But with your gym as well too, I mean, in today's era with marketing and advertising, I mean, the name of the game is getting eyeballs on your place, right?
Sure.
To drive in sales, drive in foot traffic. What have you done in the last 16 years to make yourself so successful? I mean, because that's a long time to have this place up and going, being profitable. So what is it that you've done that's really worked for you to stand out?
Ironically, I haven't spent a single dollar on an ad ever.
That's
awesome. Now, if you want to consider like having a website, an ad, and that kind of thing, sure. But traditional, whether it's mailers or an ad in a local paper kind of a thing, neighborhood paper or whatever, I've never done any of that. Yeah. All of my growth has either been because of the location that I'm in or because of word of mouth. And then much more recently, because I've been around for so long, obviously the internet has taken off. When I first started here, people had, websites were more of a business card, more of a placeholder. Like you did have it, but there wasn't social media really taking off yet. So nowadays, when you've got Instagram, Facebook, not so much Twitter, but I would definitely say Instagram and Facebook are a way to reach more eyeballs. Having a good website, of course, because people a lot of times would just rather go online and check you out rather than call or stop in. They're intimidated or whatever. So I tried to make sure that my website had a lot of video content. I have video profiles of most of the traders and a few client profile videos so you kind of see what it is that we do. And I think that's led to a lot of people because now they feel comfortable before they ever come in here. Because a lot of people just will never walk through the door because the gym is so intimidating.
Right.
So
yeah, love it.
So, I mean, let's say that I know there's personal trainers out there that are aspiring to kind of have the same goals and dreams that you did, right? Just coming from, say, Illinois or the Midwest or even the East Coast and try to, be a personal trainer or even a gym owner here in Los Angeles. So, after 16 years of having your own facility and going through like all the ups and downs and all the experience, I mean, I want to put this in like a twofold way. What would you recommend to like a personal trainer coming out here to LA wanting to be a personal trainer? And the second one, trying to open up a facility here in LA.
Right. Well, I'll answer the second one first.
Yeah.
Don't try to open up a facility in LA.
Straight to the point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm lucky because I started it 16 years ago. Now things are so expensive to start out, and I wouldn't say the market is completely saturated. I think anybody who does really good work will find their audience.
Right.
However, it's still very difficult and very challenging, and the most part is the expense. It's going to be much cheaper to do it in almost any other city in the United States than LA. Yeah. So that would be one thing I would. The only way that I would open up a facility is if you think you can do it better than anybody you've worked for anywhere you're at, because your overhead is going to be way more than you're paying for rent as a trainer at their facility or whatever. If you're a staff, then whatever the cut that the ownership is. So I wouldn't open one unless you just have to.
Right.
There's no other way around it. I think a lot of trainers, when they first come out here, I think they poo-poo the idea of working at big box gyms, and I can completely understand why. But that's where you're gonna, unless you, even if you've been a trainer somewhere else for many years, you're going to be new to LA. Nobody's going to know who the hell you are or that you've been a trainer for 10 years or whatever. So it's going to take time to build up a clientele. Well, the easiest way to build up a clientele is work at a big box gym because they have the most turnover of people. They're not necessarily going to end up being long-term clients that you've had for 24 years like I have, but it's going to at least get your feet wet, and one or two of those people will stick, and those people are going to be the source of a lot of referrals. And once you've built that up, then maybe it's like time to think, okay, maybe there is a private place like mine where I can pay rent and take clients to. It's a little more conducive to a higher end client and be charging more.
Yeah.
But if I was a trainer coming out here green, I was just lucky that I had a job waiting for me at a private space. But if I was coming in green, I would have my resume out at every single big box gym in the neighborhood that I wanted to live in, or within a decent driving distance, and go that route first.
And do you think too, like, let's say they did go the other route where they're like, I don't want to work at a big box gym, I want to work at like a facility like this one. Do you think that people just like personal trainers have a scarce mindset of just having to do the sales, having to do the marketing themselves? Naturally, they just want to be personal trainers, so they go to a big box gym so they don't have to deal with all that. All you have to do is just personal train people.
Yeah, I mean that is a difficult thing for sure, and it's a difficult thing as a business owner because I have to wear all those hats, or else I've got to pay for somebody else to do it. Either way, whether it's my time, my sweat equity, or money, somebody's got to do it. So that can be a big challenge, and a lot that I think trainers who maybe are thinking of opening up their own place don't think about. Because all of us, when we were trainers for somebody else, thought we should have got more of the money, we're doing all the work, what the hell, but once you start paying the bills and realize what overhead is on a space, you're very lucky to have a space. Go open your own space if you want to, bitch about what amount you're getting paid.
Exactly.
So it's been good for me to be on both sides of the fence. So I know exactly what the trainer's thinking too, but I know what the owner's thinking. So I try to balance that line. So my trainers are happy, the ones that I've kept and stay with me, because I try to think about them as much as I can, and sometimes to my own detriment. Probably I could have even more money if I thought more about me than them, but I also probably wouldn't sleep as well at night and wouldn't have the loyalty that I have. So
and obviously you've had so much experience just being a personal trainer yourself, and it's constantly evolving, right? Whether it's going online, whether it's still in person. I think that the whole hybrid of in person and online is a thing of beauty. I think that that's something that's here to stay. Where do you see personal training going in the next 5 years?
I mean, I think there's always going to be room for both. There's always going to be people who, if they have the income to afford it, are going to want to have that one-on-one attention paid. There's no substitute for that. I've found in the last year, since I started doing some more online stuff, that I was able to do what I do in person in a virtual way, which I didn't know that I would be able to do. I was a little bit nervous about that, and probably kept me from jumping into that arena earlier. But I could do it, but I think the reason why I could do it is because I had so many years of one-on-one. I don't think somebody who's never trained anybody in a commercial gym or has only been a trainer for a year or two should be trying to jump into online and coaching people. You got to be able to coach people in person and develop that relationship to then be able to more easily develop that relationship online. It's much harder to do that when you don't have that face-to-face time 2-3 days a week like you normally do. So I think just because of that experience of just relationship building for that many years, that's made the online space much easier for me in that regard. So I've had some good success.
Yeah, and I like how you hit home on that point though, like nobody should just go right into it, because at the end of the day it is a skill set. I mean, whether it's in person or online, I mean, especially in person, I mean, you have to have that human interaction. You have to literally be there for that person, show empathy, be vulnerable, at the same time teach them and have them execute certain movement patterns. How to tie this all into habits in their lifestyle. And I see too many people nowadays, just because they do a show, they're aesthetically gifted. They're like, oh, quote unquote, I'm a coach now, I'm a trainer, I can sit there and help people with their health, and it's very scary. It really is. And I call them Instagram dietitians, because there's so many out there. But that's why I wanted to ask, like, where do you see it going? Because it's kind of like a double-edged sword, where it's a good thing, but then it's a bad thing.
Well, that's been the internet as a whole, right? I mean, it started out, it was this amazing thing, because all of a sudden, it doesn't matter what you wanted to know, you didn't have to find an Encyclopedia Britannica or something, you know, go to this library, you could just bing, boom, and oh, this is who won the World Series in 1947, or this is, you know, when this song came out, or whatever you wanted to know, it was out there. Now, obviously, all BS is out there too, so nobody knows what the hell to do.
Right.
The good thing for somebody like me, I think, is because I've been around for so long and developed a certain level of trust, now people will just come to me to be the BS filter and say, okay, this is what you should be paying attention to, this is what you shouldn't. Because people are overwhelmed.
Yeah.
They don't know what to believe. Should I be low carb? Should I be low fat? Should I be paleo, keto, carnivore, whatever BS is going on. And they don't need any of that stuff, but they don't know. You know, they just know what's shiny and new or what's showed up on their main page of Yahoo that day or whatever. So I think it's actually been a benefit for me to have all this craziness because I know what to do and I have that confidence that I know what to do, so I can relate to people about it, you know, very easily and make them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So, you're not going to put the genie back in the bottle. The internet is here to stay.
Exactly.
So you just got to be, like I say, I think being good at it in person is important because there's so many things that you're never going to experience training somebody online that you experience in person. That's in all the things that I've been through in 25 years of doing it. I've seen pretty much everything and had to deal with it. So if something comes up online, no big deal. Seen that, done it. This is probably what's going on. This is how we're going to try to address it.
Yeah.
You know, where if you don't have that experience, you can't do it. You know, and sometimes you got to, especially online, you got to kind of read between the lines. People won't necessarily be completely forthcoming with you about what's going on.
Exactly.
Where in person, you can kind of see if somebody's ready to bawl their eyes out. I've had it happen many times in the gym, you know, and had times where we didn't even do a workout, where we went and, you know, got some coffee and just talked that day or whatever. And you don't get that online necessarily, or it takes time to develop that rapport with people.
Yeah,
so
it does.
I think that for me, what's made the online transition easier is I come in with a built-in trust factor, and I'm not trying to BS anybody or impress anybody how much I know, because I know what I know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the elite martial artists, the real guys who know what they're doing. You would never know it. They don't talk about it. They don't thump their chest. They're not out there trying to pick fights. Walk around very quiet, you know. And it's all the ones that are on their way up trying to get people to notice them, start fights and crap like that. It's kind of the same way here.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, a lot of Instagram heroes that have no business training a person.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that analogy, man. It's so true, though. Okay, so let's switch gears here. Let's get
Go
into
back to acting.
he's like, I have to do it.
This guy's such an ass. So let's switch gears on this one because I want to talk about just you know, daily rituals. Like what's the day in the life of Chad Layner's like? So literally from like what time do you wake up in the morning? What are some of the like the morning rituals you have? Day-to-day stuff here at the gym. You know, what time do you shut it down? What time do you go home and just be present? What do you like to do when you get home? All that type of stuff.
Right.
You know everything.
You know, I'm not one of those guys who has this, like, you know, a lot of people have like an exact set thing, and every morning they, you know, write 5 lines and do this and do that. You know, I've been doing this a long time. So for me, it's just like, I want to get up, I want to have some caffeine, take a shower, get to the gym and get to work, you know? I want to sleep as long as I can. Usually what happens is I get up around 7. Usually the dogs wake me up earlier than that to take them out to pee, so then I'll be up, you know, and just try to get my day going. You know, I'm not one of those people that's going to get up at 5 and do an hour or 2 worth of stuff before I come in.
Right.
Maybe 20 years ago, even then I probably wouldn't have done it. I'd been too late playing video games, to be quite honest.
Love honesty.
Yeah, you know, it's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Usually I have a full day of clients in the morning. So usually I'll get out of here about 1 or 2, able to go home, run errands, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes I have to come back in the afternoon or early evening for clients. I try not to have very many regulars like that, because I do think being burned out on the schedule is a real common thing, because you're always either going to be, or most of the time, a before work or after work person, or both, for your clients. And so that can make for long days if you've got clients at 5 or 6 a.m. and then also at 7 or 8 p.m.
Sure.
You know, when do you sleep? When do you, you know, I'm lucky. I literally live 5 minutes or less if I hit all the lights right from the gym. So for me, I can go home during the day, even if I only had an hour break, if I needed to, I could run home, take care of some stuff, and be back here in plenty of time, which is a rarity in LA, as you guys know. So I'm just very lucky in that regard. Because I have that freedom, I don't have to have necessarily a set regimented thing.
Right.
And I will try to like look at my week as a whole, or next week coming up, and schedule things like doctor's appointments and stuff like that accordingly. But I try to be very flexible for my clients. So even though most of them have regular time slots, I have a lot of the performers who don't. And so I have to have that flexibility to be able to move people around and know somebody now needs to do this time. Well, I may have to make all the dominoes start to fall to fit in the right spot to accommodate everybody.
Right.
So I like having that degree of freedom. It keeps me from having necessarily this regimented thing where I know certain things are getting done on a certain day at a certain time, but it allows me that freedom to the clients, and I think that's part of the reason why I've been successful, because I'm not one of these people that's charging people for last minute cancellations and stuff like that. You know, if they've got a legit reason, you know, if their agent just called them and they need to be on the west side for a call back now, they can't come in, what am I going to say? I'm going to charge you?
Exactly.
No. They get that call back, they make the money that affords to come see me to begin with. So I tend to, like I said, like to have more freedom to my schedule, which makes me a little bit less regimented. I would probably get more accomplished if I had a more regimented schedule, but I don't know that I would necessarily have the clientele that I have, or kept them for as long as I have, if I was a little bit stricter with my time.
Yeah.
I do think I need to, in 2019, because of the online stuff and some other things, maybe revenue stream ideas and stuff that are going to take my brain power to do, rather than me physically being here, I need to mark out time, whether it's, you know, writing or even just thinking. Because a lot of times that's the hardest part, is you need time, quiet time to sit down and think. And a lot of times I don't give myself enough time to do that because I'm so busy, and then I'm tired. You know, it's like by the time it's time to think, I start thinking. It's like me trying to meditate. I'm just gonna fall asleep.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you know? So that's something I need to get better at, to be quite honest.
Gotcha. And then, do you have like a date night with your wife? Do you guys have like a certain time you guys have dinner?
You know, not really. Again, she works, you know, in the film business, and her schedule can be really weird. So we typically, when she's working, she doesn't even get done until 7 p.m.
Gotcha.
So usually we don't have dinner until 8 p.m. or so, but depending on if I happen to have an evening client or whatever. So there's nothing really kind of set with that. We do tend to be pretty good about, you know, we'll binge watch TV shows like everybody. We'll go to movies. Universal's really close by to us.
What
So
show are you currently watching?
Oh, let's see. We're watching more Academy screeners, you know, because my wife's
Okay,
in
yeah.
the Academy and she's got a boat. So we've been watching a lot of movies lately. But the things that we normally watch, stuff like Walking Dead or Game of Thrones or Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. Castle Rock was also on Hulu. So Haunting of Hill House on
That's a good
Netflix.
one.
Yeah, that
This
was
guy actually
that's
had
creepy.
nightmares on him. He told me.
Oh yeah?
That was creepy.
Yeah, it was true. But I liked how they did that. It was super cool.
It was good.
How they went back and forth in time and all that. But yeah, we tend to that. So we don't have kids. We like our binge TV and our movies, and then we have pets. So trying to just spend time with the pets. And you know, when you're a certain age and you have a home and stuff like that, most of your time has to be kind of around nesting and taking care, because there's always something to do at the house.
Right.
You know, you have to take care of stuff, and like it finally rained in LA.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
that
Miracle.
Yeah, it finally rained. It's like, oh shit, our roof leaks a lot. So who knew? You know.
Yeah.
So you know, there's always stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we try to get away and get out of LA. We both love it here. It's not like we're like one of those people that's like, oh, I can't wait to retire and get out of LA. We're not like that at all. But you know, like anybody, we like holiday and we like downtime, and so Northern California or the Central Coast of California, where it's a little quieter, get by the beach and stuff like that. You know, we try to do that as much as we can. We've been lucky because of her work, especially, to do a lot of traveling. and go to Europe and that kind of thing.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of where I think our golden years, if you will lead us is less things and more travels and experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got everything we need, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
We just got to maintain what we've got, like
Yeah.
the stupid leaky roof. But other than that, we don't need another car or another watch or whatever.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. Let's say one day you woke up in the morning, you had your caffeine, because that's important.
It is very important.
And you got an email from Mark Zuckerberg, owner of Facebook. And he's like, Chad, I love what you're doing. You're changing the game. He's like, I want to grant you a 1-minute viral video that's going to go to billions and billions and billions of people. What would that 1-minute viral video be and why?
Well, I think that it would be, I think one of the problems in the fitness industry is, and I know why we do this, but we tend to market to other trainers because those people are buyers, for sure. Somebody like me who's been around for so long could probably put an ebook together on how to be a trainer and have it go bananas in training circles, where the general public tends to be fickle, people don't market to them, and people who do market to them tend to market scams because they have no scruples, but telling them good content won't sell, which I just think is BS. I just think people just haven't done a good enough job of trying to reach them. So my 1 minute would be aimed at the general population who's not working out, kind of like the people I've been working with online, who don't think it's possible. I've got multiple 50 or nearly 50-year-old people that have lost 50, 60 pounds in a short period of time with me, strictly because they believed in me and believed what I told them and believed it was possible, because nobody ever told them it was possible before. And the only other people who did put them on some kind of crappy, quick weight loss diet, and they gained all the weight back and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So my 1 minute would just be getting that regular average person to believe that their fitness and health dreams are actually a possibility. Because the reason why most people don't exercise is they don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah.
They don't think it's going to work for them. They may have had fits and starts with different stuff and bought stuff off infomercials and all that, but they've never sat down and really committed to themselves doing the right thing, because they either don't know what the right thing is or they don't believe in themselves.
Yeah.
And so that would be what I would do. I'd be like, all right, you can do this, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. It's not that hard. You just have to be consistent.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. Something that's kind of just like going on my mind is has there ever been like a failure that's turned into like a success for you, or just it was a failure to where it was just like, holy shit, like I needed this to kind of see the forest from the trees, like a lesson learned?
I think you have those all the time if you're paying attention. I think that there's been times, I would say, where I probably said the wrong thing or did the wrong thing in relation to like a client or something, thinking I was being encouraging or joking and not knowing how that person was necessarily going to take it. And I've had people call me out on stuff, and that was very beneficial. If I felt awful, of course, I'm like, oh no, that's not what my intention was to do. I had no idea that would trigger maybe a negative feeling or something like that. So I think one of the most powerful things you can do is, a lot of times we have a big chip on our shoulders, and we can never be wrong and never fail and whatever, and get mad at clients and stuff like that. It's
Something
like,
called ego, right?
yeah, absolutely. And for me, it's like ownership.
Yeah.
If I do something wrong, I'm going to own it. I'm going to apologize for it. And I'm going to try to do whatever I can to make it better. I'm not going to sit there and get an argument about why I wasn't really at fault. 'Cause 99 times the more you're arguing about that, the more you really know it was your fault. And so you argue even harder about how, oh no, it wasn't. I mean, be married, you'll see how that goes. So, and that's probably because I have a wife who doesn't let me get away with my bullshit either. So that's been very, very beneficial as well. But yeah, I just think whenever you do fail, own it, and don't let that particular failure happen again, or do everything in your power to prevent it from happening again. And that's really kind of what I try to do. And I try to take ego out of the equation and try to just be like, okay, they're probably right.
Yeah.
Even if my intention wasn't a bad thing, all that matters is people's perception. And so, one of the researchers that wrote a book called Good Business, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi is his name, and he said that people, rightly or wrongly, it's their perception, that determines what makes them happy. So they could believe that whatever I do makes them happy, whether I'm giving them the right or wrong information, as long as they believe it, they're happy,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, okay, I need to fix this, and even if their perception is wrong, if they think I was a negative, then I better find a way to flip that into a positive.
Yeah.
You know, even if I wasn't really doing anything negative.
Yeah, and that's good though, because I mean, it just kind of goes back to that old saying, is like, you can't please everybody, right? It's like,
No.
people are going to have a certain perception on you no matter what you do. And
Sure.
it's kind of just how it is, you know, in life.
Yeah, and you know, I've had customers come in before that, you know, we're a particular type of place. We're a private, one-on-one only personal training studio. We don't do small groups. We don't do tandems. We don't do memberships. People can, and some people, they come in and they want to just work out here.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, you have to have a trainer or whatever. Well, I don't want that. Well, then you have to go somewhere else. Well, no, I want to come here because this is close to my house. Well, no, that's not what we do. Well, what, you wouldn't rather have some money than no money? Well, no, because that's not what we do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like people sometimes just don't get it.
No, yeah.
And I've had to kick people out of here before. Say, well, you take no, Vanessa, you got to leave. You know, you're not going to get what you want, and they just seem dumbfounded by it because the customer is not always right.
Yeah.
You know, not when they're. It's like going to Burger King and demanding a pizza. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, no, I want you to make me a pizza right now. Well, sorry, we're Burger King. You know,
Yeah.
and so it's that kind of a thing
Yeah.
where you're not going to be able to please everybody
Yeah.
all the
Yeah,
time.
definitely. Do you feel like you've had more wins or losses in your life? And to kind of piggyback on that, is there anything in your life that's currently missing?
Well, I've definitely had more wins. I mean, you don't get this far for this long without having more wins. I think with just turning 50, the thing that hits you is, even though you've done whatever in your career or with your relationships or whatever, it's those losses of people that you don't have around anymore. You know, by in-laws, my wife's mom and dad were both great people. You know, both died in the last 15 years or so. My grandma and my uncle who raised me both passed away. You know, there's been lots of people who have died. I've had first client pass away. They were 95 years old. That had never happened before, and that was a few years ago. So you notice the losses more because of the people that are no longer around.
Relationships.
But you don't think for one bit about the failures of, oh, I didn't make an extra $20 that week, or I didn't get invited to this party, or whatever the BS stuff when you're a kid and you're young and you think this is going to make you successful or happy or whatever. You don't think about any of that stuff anymore. It's all about people and relationships, and so I think you value the people who are around more. The more people you start to lose, the more you realize, what, it really is all just about people. And so I'm thrilled to come to work every day and see the people that I work with and who work with me, and I can't imagine ever retiring, because that's what fills you up.
Right.
Once you're, I don't think it matters really what age you are. If you're paying attention, relationships are what it's all about, whether you're a little kid or in your 20s. But you tend to get that once college gets to you, and after college, it all becomes about yourself and what I can do. I want to show the world I'm this and I'm that and I'm the other. And once you realize, it's not about you, it's about everybody else. You're going to get yours, And it's like, I forget who said it now. It's like if you're good, you'll tell everybody about it. But if you're great, other people will tell everybody about it.
Yeah.
So I try not to, talk myself up. If I'm good or not, somebody else will.
Yeah, so it's just having that giver mentality as opposed to having that taker mentality. You know what I mean? It's like it's always going to come back. The universe works in mysterious ways, so it's like it's going to come back and enrich in your life.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. I mean, when you're younger, you're insecure. Maybe you don't make as much money as somebody else, or especially in our industry, you don't think you're as buffed or good looking as somebody else, or whatever it is. That kind of stuff eats at you.
Yeah.
When you get older, you realize that stuff's not really important at all.
Right.
And I feel much happier as a human being when I'm helping out other people and when I'm seeing them succeed than when something's happening for me.
Yeah.
But you don't realize that until you've had some successes and realize, that wasn't that big a deal. But man, that really hit me when I helped somebody else, and that meant so much to them to have my help.
Yeah.
You know, that's like so life changer.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna put you through this scenario. It might be a little bit deep. So let's say
There's an actor.
so you're currently, the listeners aren't gonna be able to see what I'm talking about here, but
Right.
there's a window right here that we're looking at. So if you
Sure.
watch it on YouTube, you can see this. But let's say 16 years ago, Chad was out there outside that window,
Right.
and then you're currently here in this position.
Right.
And 16 years ago, you're about to open up this gym again, right? And you know everything that you know this past 16 years throughout
Sure.
the business and everything you've gone through. What would you tell that Chad 16 years ago? Any advice?
I would say start a YouTube channel and start putting out content. You know, because I see people, for instance, like Ben Bruno, Ben's a friend of mine, pretty well known now since he's moved to LA because he got a lot of way more famous people than I train, or certainly more quantity of them anyway. And he started out, you know, back at Mike Boyle's on the East Coast, making $14 an hour, but putting out a lot of video content and a lot of writing content.
Yeah.
And so people got to know who he was, and that's how the guy that first brought him out here to work out here at his facility, how he got on his radar and got him out here. So, yeah, if I had it to do all over again, you know, it's scary to put stuff out there, whether it's writing or whether it's you on video or whatever, because anybody can say anything at any time. And so I tend to be more of a kind of emotional, sentimental guy. So I don't like people to not like me or say bad stuff, but that mentality kept me back. Because there's absolutely no reason why somebody like me, who's been around for so many years, has trained the people I train, shouldn't be a household name.
Absolutely.
If I wanted it to be, you know.
Right.
But I kept myself small. I should have the best YouTube channel, you know, whatever going. So that's what I would tell that guy. Say, oh, you got a facility now? You're going to start shooting stuff all the time. You're going to spend your free time, you know, writing and putting out content and making people aware of you.
Yeah.
And I used to kind of stupidly wear this kind of badge of honor. I thought that I'm the best kept secret in LA. Well, that's stupid. You know, like John Goodman's a friend of mine, and one of the things that he always says is do a good job and make sure everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing a fantastic freaking job, but nobody knew about it. So people who were doing a good job were getting all the acclaim because everybody knew about it. You know, me, it just so happened over time, finally, because I stuck around so long, people found out who the hell I was. But I didn't do enough to make that happen as big as I could, as soon as I could.
Right.
So that would be the big thing. So for 2019, I'm going to try to, you know, go back 16 years and make more of that happen.
Yeah, it's
Put
never
myself
too
out
late
there.
to start. I was like, man, you should have like billboards all over LA, just #1 trainer, come here.
Right, you know, NSCA, personal trainer of the year, all this crap.
We're gonna hold you accountable.
That's good. I need that, absolutely. Well, I think one of the things too comes with just turning 50 as well. It's like, what do I give a crap
Yeah.
now?
There's
You
always
know,
gonna be critics and
who
trolls.
says what? Well, and that's true. Everybody's gonna. I mean, I have it, you know, with my celebrity clients. They can do the most generous thing, and somebody online will twist it around and make it seem self-serving in some way. And it's like, well, that was BS. I was here and witnessed what the real story was.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like, and the thing is, I'm not going to put out something that I wouldn't be proud of or didn't think that I had investigated and put the work into. So I'll know it's good, and if somebody says stuff about it, it's like, well, they're just misinformed. So I can't help that.
Yeah, and I also think too, I mean, it would add so much more into your legacy going forward for the next like 25, 30, 40 years. I mean, you can document all the stuff that you've done in the last like 20 years and start repurposing all that content to where it's
Sure.
like people are like, wow, like holy shit, you know, Chad Landers, and like that's just the way you got to kind of look at it. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Very, very few people like. To bring up John Goodman again. You guys know him,
Yeah.
right? So, anyway, in personal training circles, for people who don't know, you know, he started PTDC.com, and now he's got his Fitness Marketing Monthly, and all this, making so much money from a guy who was, you know, probably after I opened this place, years after, was just starting out as a trainer in a gym in Toronto. You know, so what he's done has kind of opened my eyes a lot. And obviously him being a friend of mine kind of helps with that. But yeah, I forget now what I was going to say. He says that I'm going to be the first trainer to retire as a personal trainer, because I've been doing this for 25 years already. It's my only thing. And so, another 3 years, maybe I'll get a gold watch or whatever. So it's 30 years. But I do think you're right, that because of that, I have this wealth of knowledge that I forget that I have. Because for me, it's just day to day. Everybody knows this. I'm not special, but it's not true. A lot of people don't know. And they don't know what they don't know.
Right, exactly.
And so, I would be serving a much greater purpose and have a much bigger legacy the more good trainers I can put out there that are treating people right and doing the right thing, the more I can reach than just the people that I can train one-on-one or even online.
Absolutely. There's so much possibilities. So what is next for Chad Landers, and what has been the biggest lesson you've learned in 2018?
Well, what's next? I got to finally get the landing page, the website for chadlanders.com up. That's where it's going to be kind of the portal for the online training and nutrition stuff will happen. That I haven't launched yet, because I've been doing that more in almost like beta testing mode to make sure I could do it. So I didn't want to have that out there. So that's coming up very soon. I got some other stuff possibly in the works with different, writing and emceeing a fitness conference in Spokane in April, and talking at another one in November of this year. So starting to get more writing stuff booked. Speaking engagements booked for next year. But I think the online thing is going to be the biggest focus, because now that I know that I can do it and I can do it well, I think I can at least make it a more viable revenue stream than just a hobby. It still takes time. It's not like it's easy and you just like click it and forget it. It may not be exactly the same time commitment as one-on-one with a client, but you're also making far less money. I mean, I might charge it a month what I can make in an hour. So you've got to be careful with your time and that kind of thing. So I definitely need to get those, aside from the landing page and that kind of thing, I need to get kind of more of the logistics and nuts and bolts of it kind of fine-tuned and get systems in place so that I can do it and do it well without it overwhelming the free time that I have. Because I still want to be able to binge watch shows.
That's important.
Pet the dog and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. It's going to be an exciting year for you, man.
I think so. I think it's a big, like I said, one of the big things with turning 50 is this kind of like, now, why not? I'm not going to go hungry if something fails. I'm not going to have to go back to Illinois or anything like that. It's like, I'm here to stay. It's going to be okay no matter what. And quite frankly, I'm better at it than I've ever been. So
you got a great
why not
system.
Do whatever? Absolutely, for sure.
Awesome. Okay, so before we ask the last question, I want to commend you. And I don't know if this is coming from this guy, but it's coming from me. I'm just kidding. I just want to say thank you. I know we came out here about 5 years ago, and you opened your door to us, and even gave us suggestions on places to live. And I don't know if we were studying for a test or we're looking to be personal trainers out here, but you opened your doors.
It was an NSCA.
Yeah. So you opened your doors to us, and I'm always going to remember that, and I was always thankful for that. So thank you for that, and just thank you for everything that you're doing. For the personal training community, the fitness industry, and just making it a better place. For people to improve their health and everything like that. So I just want to commend you. Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. You sure?
So the final question, what does living a dynamic lifestyle mean to Chad Landers?
Well, for me, I think that, like I told you before, everything all becomes about relationships. And for me, one of the things that makes relationship building even easier is travel and reading. So becoming a better kind of citizen of the world, once you realize and you've traveled the world and you see that somebody that lives in Iran is just having the same day you are, trying to make ends meet and food on the table. We tend to start to think in more like nationalistic ways and us versus them, where it's not about the leaders of countries, it's about the people of countries and places you go. And once you've traveled more and done that and see that, you're a much better citizen of the world, and I think you're less likely to be judgmental and think that you're so great and somebody else is so bad. You don't think in those terms anymore. You try to be more understanding
And just
and
abundant.
more caring. Yeah, exactly. And so for me, that dynamic part of travel and reading, and it lends itself to fitness too, because for me, I've always had fitness be the foundation of that kind of stuff for clients. If you're not fit, you're not going to be able to travel to Machu Picchu and climb
Exactly.
and that kind of thing. So for me, it's, that whole fitness thing just makes you want to go and do and see more and meet more people and talk to them and that kind of thing. And the less fit you are, the more you just tend to sit at home and do nothing because you don't have the energy to.
Exactly.
So for me, it all kind of blends itself together. That fitness part and the travel and the relationships, it's all part of being a dynamic lifestyle.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I love the traveling.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that we can support you on that currently maybe you're promoting? There's something big just on the radar for you, or even our listeners?
I mean, right now I'm still putting the finishing touches on the chadlanders.com. Obviously, there's only so many people that I can work with, even online, directly, one-on-one for the more high-end stuff. But I do plan on putting together programs and possibly maybe more of a kind of course, like a deliverable course type thing. So when that type of stuff is up and ready to go, yes, I would definitely love a plug on that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And then other than that, just keep doing what you guys are doing and putting good stuff out there, because that's what we need.
Yeah, appreciate that. And then where can our listeners find more about you, just your information, just social media?
Well, the best part of being old is you get in on the ground floor of things. So like when the internet started, practically, I was Chad Landers, at Chad Landers on Instagram, at Chad Landers on Twitter. I don't know how many Chad Landers are on Facebook, but I'm certainly I'm the best looking one, so you can find me that way. Or pushprivatefitness.com if you want to see what the gym looks like and kind of what we're doing here. But yeah, if you Google Chad Landers, I'm sure I'll be the first one that pops up. Definitely Push Private Fitness. So
perfect. We'll have all that plugged up in the show notes. Chad, once again, thank you so much for your time and just all the wisdom. Really appreciate it.
Sure.
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate
All
you
right.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Until next time.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this podcast video. If you guys are interested in learning how to build your online fitness business, we have 2 free videos for you guys. The first video is how to build your online fitness business and make more money. And the second one is how to retain your actual online clients so you can sustain your online business. So make sure to click the link in the description box below and access those 2 videos and wait for the next podcast that comes on.